Good afternoon, everyone. How you doing? We want to thank you for tuning in to the hottest show in America, the Chandler Strong Show. And today we have a special guest, Mr. Allan Branch. Mr. Branch, how you doing today?
Doing
Would
great.
you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Allan Branch, born and raised Panama City, went to Bay High, moved away for college, and came back in 2008. And I'm known as the guy sort of downtown cheerleader, investor, supporter, and currently being interviewed by Chandler Strong.
Okay.
That's me.
Well, Mr. Branch, I'm going to go ahead and get into it because the word on the streets is you are putting in your bid for mayor in this upcoming election.
Yeah, right away, right to the big question. Yeah, so we file, I file in. I announced it about a year ago. It's been on my heart to serve the community for several years. All these investments in our downtown really come from a place of wanting to serve the community that's been good to us. My family's owned restaurants and car washes in town since the 1940s. And so this, to me, running for mayor is just sort of a way to give back to the community and serve the community. We truly file in November, and the election's in late April. And it'll be exciting. I'm learning a lot about politics. I've learned a lot about cities in the past 7 years as an investor in Panama City. Like about 2 weeks ago, I spent 2 full days with the mayor of Greenville, South Carolina. And he was super awesome, and his staff was super awesome, and told us all kinds of stuff they've been doing up in Greenville to revitalize their areas. And so I'm a sponge for new information, and I'm excited to take on new challenges, like possibly being elected if I get elected.
Wow. And what a lot had to play into that. What inspired you? Because the mayor, that's a key position in the city, and you can't just anybody. Well, anybody can, but can't just anybody get in that position and be successful.
Sure. Yeah. So I grew up I thought I grew up in a normal way. You only know what you know, right? And I grew up with parents who were known entrepreneurs in town. They owned car washes and restaurants, and as I would meet people, they'd recognize my last name, and they would say, like the branches that own Tally-Ho, or the branches that own Jimmy's, or the branches that own the car washes. And they would say something nice to me, or they would give me a second chance or a third chance that I didn't deserve. And I thought that was normal. I thought everyone got that. And it took me a long time to realize that that was really a special way to grow up that most people never get. There's a privilege to that. And as I became successful in business, I just kind of realized that I'm really not that smart, that I got a little lucky. I was born on second base, and I want every kid to grow up the way I did in this community, which is treated with respect and given opportunities and second chances and third chances. That's really what inspires me. I also have amazing parents who have been active in the community. They've never run for politics, but they've always sponsored Little League teams and given to charities and really paid what I would call their civic rent. It's giving back to the community that gives back to you. The mayor position, people think, has a lot more power than they actually do. They can't direct staff. You can't go arrest that person and tear that building down. You can't do that. The mayor only can direct the city manager and assistant city manager, and it's really the commission is really a board of directors that sets the policy. For me, that sounds, because I love businesses and I love organizations and all that kind of stuff, that sounds like fun. What I'm trying to deal with now is the realization that when you become a known person, and you deal with this too, is people have opinions of you that aren't true, even though they don't know you, they don't know your heart. And that's really heartbreaking to know that people are going to, no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you give back, they're going to look at you through their own worldview and assume things about you that are untrue or maybe true, who knows. But it's really heartbreaking. For someone like me, I think we all like to be liked. We want people to be liked, and we give back in the hopes that people are appreciative of it and think positively of us. And it's kind of, but the mayor job, 100%, you get looked at not like a human anymore. You get looked at like the mayor, but you still have feelings, and people say nasty things about the mayor, and these are people, right? And so that's what I'm working on now, is sort of the mindset of being able to, I'm already a leader in my businesses, right? And I have a couple hundred employees now across these businesses, and I'm sure there's a few of those that don't like me too. And that gets bigger once you become a leader of a larger group. You become that same percentage of people are going to dislike you, whether they've spent time with you or not. So it's an interesting challenge. It's kind of a heartbreaking challenge to know that people are going to dislike you or like you for things. But I'm excited for it and a little terrified, but wanting to live up to people's expectations of me.
Wow, interesting. Yeah. Over 150 employees. I know that's very stressful.
Very stressful. I was up at 4:15 this morning.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a lot of people look at envy other people and they say, "Well, I want that," and they don't, but they don't want the whole life of that. And for me, the whole life of that is I work too many hours. It's super stressful. The money's good, but there's a trade-off to it. And it's not all roses and gummy bears and fun things. It's a lot of times making hard decisions that affect people and firing people or hiring people so it's a leadership. But leadership, no matter what you're doing, is a tough job.
Yes.
Right.
And I want to give you your flowers while you still here, because a lot of people don't know. I've been knowing you for 5 years. So I say since 2020.
Yeah.
It was after you. After I was resting up from actually getting shot. You sent me the Rich Dad Poor Dad
Rich Dad Poor Dad, yeah.
And I read that book. The trajectory of that book just changed the way I looked at it a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a conversation I had with you here at your house back then. It's like from then to now, you grew and I grew tremendously. And I want to thanks for that motivation. A lot of people don't understand how important, one book can have you looking at everything from a different perspective.
Life is about having information to help make better decisions. I love giving away books. I actually have one other one for you today. I've been reading a lot about Stoicism, which is about a mindset of leadership. I'll give you one of those books. But we were talking earlier about how you learn. Everyone learns the same way. You either learn from counsel or consequences. Counsel is wisdom from other people. Consequences is things that are not fun, like losing money, hardship, heartbreak, all those things. And so I have mentors in the restaurant industry and even mayors. I'm looking for mentors now in mayors. And my real job is building software companies. And I have mentors in software companies. I'm always looking for people that can teach me new things. But everyone inspires me. You inspire me. There's plenty of people that inspire me. Anyone who gives back beyond what is expected of them is inspiring to me. You could be a pizza chef, and if you're doing something unique and special, anyone who goes beyond what they think they have to do something unique and special is inspiring to me.
And I know you've been giving back with sponsorship to the community for a long time, but how does it feel this year to actually be in the trenches with the Glenwood Rattlers? Y'all had a successful season, and you could add on coach. You could add on coach. How was it coaching those young kids? I coached the 10 and up, but I haven't coached the youngsters yet.
Yeah. So Robert Stewart, Coach Slim, was at Bay High with us, and he invited me. Let me remind that I played football at Bay High and then in college at University of Alabama in Birmingham. And I was an all-state high school football player, so I was good. And then I was a very average or some below-average college player. So I didn't go to the NFL. I wasn't some all-star player, but I learned a lot of skills. And Robert invited me to the Glenwood Rattlers about this time last year, and I thought I would go to one practice. I have kids that are 17 and 15 now, and we never pushed them into sports hard, although they wrestle now at Bay High. He invited me, and I thought, I'll just go to one practice, and to the 6-year-olds. And I had so much fun. It is the best 2 hours of any day. The 6-year-olds are the most fun out of any group.
Yes.
The older kids, you get to teach them a little more technique, but the little kids are so funny. They get distracted. You're teaching them how to tie their shoes, and you're mopping up tears, and they're hungry, and my belly hurts, and they're chasing butterflies, and they're drawing in the dirt, but it is the most fun. And I'm out there again this year with them. We're doing calisthenics and conditioning and that sort of stuff.
Wow.
And it's so much fun. They're so funny. And even I've seen a couple kids at Target. I saw them, and they ran up and gave me hugs.
Wow.
And that just means so much. It's so much fun. And the little kids, I didn't realize, and this is kind of weird for a grown man to say, but I didn't realize there was a void in my heart that those kids would fill.
Yes.
And I miss little kids, like how silly they are. They say the silliest things. And one kid, I said, "What's your name?" He said, "Call me Wildcat."
Yeah.
And so I just love, once you get to a certain age, you lose that silliness. And it's such a special time. It's so funny. Another kid, Stanley's kind of a little bigger kid, and he was out at Tommy Oliver Stadium. and keeps looking back. And Coach Slim says, "Get your head in the game and watch the game, Stanley." And he looks back again. I said, "Are you looking for your mom?" And Stanley says, "She bought me a hot dog, and I think she might eat it." And they just say the funniest things and the cutest things, and I just have so much fun.
Yes.
And so I'm so thankful that they keep letting me come back and coach, and I have such a good time. So I'm there. Yeah, the Glenwood Rattlers, and they're redoing Daffin Park right now, putting a new field down. And so it's exciting time.
And you just have a heart for people.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of remind me of yourself. It doesn't matter, you know, what political party you know. Are you good or evil?
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. And so my next question would be is, if I'm a voter out there and I'm sitting trying to figure out why should I vote for Allan Branch?
Yeah. Well, first you should vote, period, and get involved. Like, people focus on like who the president is, and I think that matters a lot less than like paying attention to local stuff. Knowing who to engage if your park is not being cut and kept up. Knowing how to get the Parks and Rec department to put money into the park system around your neighborhood. Getting involved like that in your local community, and even local volunteerism matters so much more locally than anything federally that you can pay attention to. Like, you know, just volunteering at Glenwood Rattlers, those sort of things. Just being involved matters way more than the federal politics. People think that, you know, Trump versus Biden and that. I could care less about that. It's a lot more exciting to be local. For me, vote for me. Let's see. Wow, that's a big question. Wow, I've dealt with the city enough. People assume I know a lot of people. I know my family's been around for 80 years. We've had businesses for 80 years in this town, and I have money, and I've put a lot of money. I put about $6 million downtown, and people assume, and I know every commissioner, and I know every department head. I know people at City Hall. I know the last mayors, last commissioners, and I still have a really hard time getting things. Really hard time. So much so, and I would bet you out of that $6 million, the city, through clumsiness, and I don't want to talk bad about people because there's good people that work up there in an organization that hasn't set them up for success. They probably cost me $300,000 of misinformation, bad process of paperwork, lost paperwork, not accepting new ideas, even when I bring them ones from other cities. And so it's the organization. When I say the organization of City Hall is dysfunctional, I don't mean the people. The people are good people. You can have a great business, a great restaurant, but the organization is broken. People are yelling at each other, and they're not looking at new ideas. They're not trying to get better. So the organization of City Hall is really what I want to focus on. And it really should be, they work for the citizens, and the citizens' voices matter, although leadership at any level needs some vision. And that's what I'm hoping I can do. Even though I have lots of influence, I can't hardly get anything done. And I've told them, like, if I can't figure out how to get through your rules, then God help someone who's a single mom trying to start a business. I've got money and time, and I know everybody up there. I can get a phone call, I get a meeting with anyone, and it's just about impossible for me. And if it's impossible, if it feels impossible for me, it is impossible for other people. And this system, Panama City as a system, as an ecosystem, cannot flourish if only a handful of people can figure out how to get things done, how to build things, and how to be successful. It's just not going to work. And so Allan, as a dad, father, brother, son, if I was wanting to be selfish, I would stay doing what I'm doing because I know how to get things done, although it's very hard. And I can be successful. But if I want to see the town flourish, then I have to make sure other people can too. And it's mostly poor communication and bad processes at City Hall with employees that care. They just haven't been set up in the right systems.
Wow. And Mr. Branch, one of the top questions I've been having feedback from the community is majority to 75-80% of the community is 9 to 5. And on the city commission meetings, a lot of these people aren't able to get to these meetings. So if you was elected, which ways would you go about changing it so a lot of these people that work can have opportunity to be in these meetings?
Yeah, so meetings can be run 100 different ways. There are some rules around meetings through Florida, like, commissioners can't speak to each other about city business outside of city meetings. The whole purpose of a city meeting is to have transparency of opinions from your commissioners and staff and know why policies are set a certain way. And so a lot of times cities will have meetings, and this is a conversation that every city has, is what time do we need to have the meeting where we get the most public engagement? And is it in the morning? Is it in the midday? Is it in the afternoon? Is it in the evening? There's really no data that shows more people show up during certain times. There are cities doing things differently now. What they'll do is they'll say, okay, the meetings are for city staff. We're going to put the agenda out very early, and you need to, and here's a video or a summary of all the different things. We want your opinions. Because what happens, and I've done it too, is you show up to a meeting, you say, as a citizen, you say, well, here's my opinion. And they've already kind of decided what they're going to do. Right. And so your opinion actually, if that organization wants and cares about the opinion, they need to do it before they've made their decision. And the decision's kind of already half made. So really, they should put the agenda out. I think put the agenda out much earlier, put out communication of here's what we're thinking about doing weeks in advance. Email us your feedback, call us on this feedback, meet with us. So by the time you get to the meetings, you don't have to even show up. You've already had time to voice your opinion and give your opinion. And so the time of the meeting matters much less, in my opinion. So you kind of are solving one problem of what time is for the meeting be by forcing communication much earlier. Like right now, we should be talking about what's the meeting in August going to be about. And I should be feeding back to the commissioners of here's what I think are calling them or meeting with. So they go to the meetings with our opinions already. They should already know our opinions. And that's a whole lot less. If you look at the meetings now, they're very, at times, aggressive and people are mad because they're the decision's already kind of cooked, right? So you want to kind of get it earlier where you can actually have impact. And because there's nothing worse than going to a meeting, sitting there for 4.5, 5 hours, talking for a minute and a half, and they've already made their decision. They're like, well, why did I even come to this? I could be doing something else. So I think there's a better way to have meetings. I think there are other cities that are looking at that. And potentially shifting the time isn't a true way to solve the problem. But the time of the day doesn't matter to me personally. It's whatever makes the most sense.
Okay. So. And one of the big ones is going around is if you had the opportunity to, because you cannot create a better community without involving the lower income community. So many people tried to go around it. If you're elected, how do you plan? Because the Martin Luther King, after Hurricane Michael, so many people went back to their lives. But in that area in Glenwood and throughout the community, it's still people mental health wise still fighting their Hurricane Michael.
Sure.
So how would you plan to get more involved in those areas that's been left out for so long? Yeah,
so the city is spending, I think, $22 million on the MLK Rec Center, which is awesome. That is going to be huge. I'm excited to go use it. I was actually on a call a month and a half ago about they're having a little kitchen there, like a kitchen teaching classroom. I thought that was super cool. I've been studying other cities, like I mentioned. Pensacola we all have a housing authority, which uses SHIP funds and other mechanisms from the state on creating housing for low and medium incomes. And currently, most of our money is rolled out in larger apartment complex style housing. But places like Pensacola have programs where you can actually go build a house for yourself, and they'll give you an interest-free loan and things like that. So if you really look at our economy, right? Like you look at Panama City as a whole, lots of people. And we have this bucket of money coming, this big jar of money, and it comes in here. And currently we're only using it to help big companies who are nice people build big apartment complexes. Well, we could shift some of that money to help some people create wealth for themselves. And really, that's what I'd love to see, right? So it's like, which is why I gave you Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Yes. If you give people the right information, they typically will make a good decision. So I think how to build your house. Janice Lucas pulled her own building permits after the hurricane. You could actually build your own house yourself. And so I think it'd be fun to help. The right thing to do to me would be to shift some of that money to help create wealth for people and teach them how to build their own homes, how to do house hacking, which is like you build a duplex or a triplex. You live in one unit and rent 2 or 3 out, things like that. There's a program called the Incremental Development Alliance that I've been through, and it really talks about real estate development. And they say it's easier to take a carpenter and make them a real estate developer than a real estate developer into a carpenter.
You're right.
Right? And so And really what that means is everybody and anybody could actually build a home for themselves or a duplex with the right knowledge and right tools. And so I think that Panama City Housing Authority, which are good, nice people, need to further study places like Pensacola to bring new ideas to these organizations that have been around to create wealth for more people. And it all is just looking, we can just look to other cities and see what works and borrow from them. We don't have to invent anything new here. And that's what I'd like to see. But yeah, so all parks are extremely important around low and medium income areas. They're basically, pseudo daycares. It's hey, go play basketball, go run around the park, those kind of things. And so you need all those things. I know we even need daycares around town. Yes. The Boys and Girls Club near Daffin Park needs to come back. Things like that.
In St. Andrews, where I grew up.
Totally. Yes. I grew up right next to the port, so I completely understand. I used to ride my bike to R.L. Turner and play baseball there, and that's what kept me busy all growing up with sports.
Wow. So. And Greg Brundicki did an amazing job, but I think afterwards and then now that we're in a new direction, I don't think the city of Panama City has seen a visionary like you, because you're my motivation. You're the only person I know ride a bicycle or walk around and collectively strategize what could I do with this property right here, and that's motivation right there. Yeah. And I could just imagine you sitting up there in that seat. You already got some amazing commissioners, Jen Halligan, Janice Lucas, Josh Street. You already got a
I will probably be the dumbest one up there, actually. That's the reality. Wow. Those are some smart people.
Surround yourself with people smarter than
that's what you want to do. You never want to be the smartest person in any room.
Yes.
But visionary is a very generous term. I have ideas. Yes. I'm relentless in pursuing ideas. Your reference to me riding my bike and walking is I sit at a desk all day and I need to exercise. And so those are my, every about hour I go for a little walk.
Yes.
But I look at properties. One of my favorite terms, real estate developer is sort of a, not a nice term now. It usually means someone who's extracting wealth from a community for themselves. But the Incremental Development Alliance, which is this organization that teaches anyone how to build little small projects and how to get financing, they talk about how your neighborhood should be looked at like your family farm.
Yes.
So if you were building a generational farm, you would never want to, and you were going to pass this farm down to your grandchildren, you would never want to harm the farm. You would want to give back to the farm, nurture the ground, and do all those things so your grandkids have crops to grow. And so a lot of times when I'm walking around, I'm thinking about like, how can you put a pocket park here and things like that? Because downtown, which is where we're at right now, is where I live, and it's my neighborhood, and it's where I'm investing money. And I would never want to, a lot of times I have to say, like, I would never put money and make downtown dangerous where my kids walk around like that, right? Or why would I try to ruin this area of town where I live and work and I have businesses? I want to see it thrive. And so, I do walk around. I do dream about ideas and things. And then I do a lot of research. I call a lot of cities and I look up, with the internet now, it's so easy. Just Google things and go on YouTube and watch videos. And then people will answer emails.
Yes.
I've been blown away in my life of just, before I opened up history class, the first brewery, I emailed 100 breweries and probably had 80 replies back that said, sure, I'll hop on the phone with you and talk. You're a stranger. And I'll tell you all about my business. And people love to, we're talking now. Like most people love to help other people avoid the mistakes they have.
Yes.
And so that's what I do. I ask a lot of questions. I'm a very curious person.
And you got my vote. I'm supporting you already. And to all the viewers out there, if vote Allan Branch.
We got some time, but still
when it comes up, I'm supporting them, so I encourage you. I don't support too many people. Well, thank you. Just the right people. I study candidates and just watch their results.
Yeah.
And the results a person can tell you anything.
Yeah.
But when you go see the work that they put in over the years, that tells you everything. You have any questions for me?
What are you working on now?
Man, I just want to say, ever since I sat down and had that talk with you about ideas and brainstorm, it's like, God, it's like sometimes we can be wanting to do this but God be wanting us to do this. So I really just say in God's working on a few things and steady trying to get better. But I'm still doing the mentorship.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the biggest things that I actually got a speaking engagement tomorrow, 11 to 2.
Yeah.
At the comfort at the Comfort Inn on 10 Air Force Base. A celebration. It's about mental health.
Okay.
And I'm teaming up with a group of people from Tallahassee, Nicole Jefferson and her team, and I'll be a speaker at the event. Mental health affects all of us.
It does.
And from generational bitterness to us holding grudges against each other.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm working on mental health. I'm working on community development. Father peer specialist.
Yeah.
Because 80% of households are without fathers.
Sure.
And that's affecting a lot of kids.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's just so much different, but I'm waiting on God to send the right pills. Everybody need help.
Sure.
I agree. You can't do nothing by yourself.
I agree. Yeah.
It's so much, but those are just a couple of the things I'm working on.
Yeah, mental health is super important. I had a business partner in 2017 take his life.
Wow.
And that was my software business partner. And he had plenty of money in his bank account, and he had a BMW and a big old house and all those things that you think would make you really happy, and it didn't. And money does help.
Yes.
Not denying that.
It does.
But I certainly have had time. I went to Chuck Cluxton, who's on Jinx Avenue after Hurricane Michael for about a year and a half, just kind of sorting through thoughts that I had and learning how my brain works. People, you need someone to talk to. And I think, if it's always, we kind of look down on mental health, and especially if you have a counselor, people go like, oh, how weak of you. You should just toughen up. But if I hired a fitness coach, you'd say, good for you. Yes. You're getting in shape. Or if you're going to the doctor for a torn muscle, they would say, good, you need to get that muscle fixed. But your brain is a muscle, right? It actually is more important than probably any muscle on your body. And so it's super important. And people don't realize that, of having mentorship, and whether it's your grandma or a mental health counselor or a neighbor, having someone to talk to is super important.
Yes.
And especially when you're young as well.
And so if I'm in the community and I'm trying to run across Mr. Branch, would you mind putting a couple of your restaurants where they could bump into you?
Well, I'm never there though, so you're welcome. People think I work there, but I don't. I'm only there on Wednesdays for meetings. But history class, which is kind of next to the Martin Theater. Then we have El Weirdo, which is our taco brew pub. And we're trying to open another restaurant over here. But stop by anytime. You probably won't see me there. Yes. I'm not there very often. But you're more than likely going to see me Mondays and Tuesdays if you come by Craft Field. 6 to 8 p.m. is when we're coaching.
Okay.
And if you have any kids out there, bring some kids. But we're always looking for kids. Some of our best players, Icebox. You know Icebox?
Yes.
That's a little girl. She's fierce out there.
She's the truth.
She's the one, man. And she knows it. So we need players, and they're super sweet kids, and come by and talk to JC or somebody, and we'll get them suited up. But that's where you're more than likely going to catch me. It's on Craft Field.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, I salute you for getting in the race, because we need more great candidates. I was always taught, a boss says I, but a great leader says we.
That's true.
And when you're able to involve not just a couple of individuals, but able to bring all people together, that's powerful right there. Because everybody, we only have one life to live. I never seen a hearse with a U-Haul on it.
That's true.
We all lead the same way. We come in the world one way,
that's true, and
we leave the world the same way. So we just got to command the people. We love the people that we commanded to love.
Yep, that's true. It's the mayor job is a big commitment, and I'm excited, and a little nervous, a little apprehensive.
Yes,
but I'm going to try my best if elected, and you're going to get my heart and full transparency. I'm going to try to do my best.
Wow. Yeah, I want to thank you for this interview, coming out to the Chandler Strong Show, the hottest show in America, get your word out there to the community and getting to know Allan Branch.
I'm here. Great chat with you. Again, this is my second time on the show.
Yes, second time. Yeah. They I don't think they got to see that one.
Yeah, we'll link to it.
It's better. It's better. It's even better now.
Yeah. Awesome.